everyone. I am Visakha Bajaj, a high school junior and a humanities student. I'm an aspiring journalist and my interest lies in politics. So today I am on the behalf of the Teen Pop magazine, the first online magazine which gives young aspiring journalists an opportunity to share their voice, build their writing portfolio, and receive peer mentorship and feedback in the editorial industry. If you would like to write for this magazine, kindly check the website theteenpop.com. So today, I'm in conversation with Ty Autry, who is an award-winning playwright and an ever-growing creative actor and producer. After growing up in the Deep South, where his love of both engineering and theater developed, Ty made his first way to Atlanta to pursue a degree in electrical engineering at Georgia Tech. While there, he was an active member of Drama Tech Theatre and used the space to express himself to grow more as a performer. After graduating, he decided to become an apprentice at Georgia Ensemble Theatre to pursue his dream of performing even further. After graduating from Atlantic Acting School in New York, he is faculty at that very conservatory by training and teaching his class website development and digital branding to students at Atlanta. He is also producing three new plays of his: A Southern Fairytale, which is the story of a young gay man coming into its sexual orientation, To All the Good Boys, which is the second one, which explores the energy, dialogues, and passion that surrounds a couple falling in love with sex, and Red Wave, the third, a political piece looking at what the world would look like if 90% of the population would queer instead of being straight. So how are you doing, Ty?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me here. It is such an honor to be speaking with you and talking about my work and where I'm heading and even learning more about what y'all do.
That's so nice to hear, Ty. So, Ty, who and what inspired you to become an actor? And have you always wanted to be an actor?
I would have to say that I wasn't always on this career path to be an actor. My first thought was actually to become an engineer and work my way in that field. And I did get a degree in electrical engineering. It was actually my very first acting coach, my senior year of college. He, by a weird random story, we don't have time to go in today, but basically I ended up in his basement for someone else's acting lesson, and then I helped her with her acting lesson. And he turned around to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing in Atlanta, like in terms of performing, or if that's what I wanted to do." And he inspired me. He's like, "You have a storyteller inside of you, and you need to go pursue that." And well, I changed up my entire life, and I graduated college, and 5 years now, I'm performing and writing and producing, and here I am today.
That's so much of multitasking. So, what
Multitasking,
was your
yeah.
very first performance like?
My very first professional role, I would say, was super exciting. It was a kids show. I was doing it for a local theater in Marietta, Georgia. It was Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. It was the musical version of like the kids book, and we did it in this very small, like underground black box basement theater, and it was thrilling. It was simple. It was dedicated to kids. It was whimsical, and it was everything that I could want in a role. And that, honestly, booking that as my first gig is what really pushed me, like, this is what I want to do. This is the level of inspiration I want to provide from little kids to adults. And for the first time, I think, in this heady theological way, I kind of tapped into what my calling was in that moment. Um, and I've been in my, other roles I did in college at Georgia Tech and before that weren't paid, still fulfilled me. But it was the first time that I actually was like, oh, I can do this as a career and I can make a living off of this. Like, it doesn't have to be a hobby. It can be who I am. It can be what I live for and what I strive to become better at.
That's amazing. So, how do you prepare for a role?
So I prepare for a role using a technique called practical aesthetics. It's what I'm grounded in. It's what I was trained at Atlantic Acting School in New York City, where I now teach as well. It's a very thought process oriented acting technique where you ask a series of questions so you can think before you act, so you act before you think. And for me, coming from a very analytical mindset, right, the engineering brain that I developed over the years, it was really helpful to be in a technique where it was like a formula, where if I was struggling to figure out how to authentically play this character, I could fall back on this technique that allowed me this framework and then also the ability to play inside of the scene as well. And so it gave me both things I was looking for. And so whenever I have to prepare for a role, that's what I go to. I go back to that technique and I use it every day, from auditioning to scene work to coaching other students. It's where I find a lot of that grounding force that you kind of need as a performer to authentically tell a story.
I really wish to go to New York and be one of your students.
Well, you know what? Maybe you can. And in the digital age, it's so much as possible. Atlantic actually does off, like a small plug for my school that I work for. They do offer digital training now. So check them out. Maybe you'll work with me. Who knows?
Absolutely. I would love to work with you. So, how often do you run your lines and play practice your skits?
It depends on the role, I would say. Um, I recently just did my first feature film down in New Orleans. And for that, I memorized all my lines before I got there. And since it was a film and you kind of, pick up different scenes, you're kind of doing it out of order, I would really the morning of or the night before just review my lines and my analysis just to remind myself of what I was doing. Um, for other work, I would say, like my solo play that you mentioned, A Southern Fairytale, that's an hour long. That's just me talking for an hour straight by myself on stage. For that, when I'm performing it at different venues, I run it at least once or twice before I do it that night. Because for me, text is so important that no matter if it's my own writing or someone else's writing, I want to do the playwright or the screenwriter's a service by honoring their words and getting it how they felt like it needed to be said.
That is very essential and necessary to be authentic and staying true to the script. So, has a character you played ever altered your personality?
Ooh, has a character I ever played altered my personality? I would have to go about that in a different way and say that every character I touch in some way, this is going to sound so actory, but I'm going to say it anyways, helped me grow as an individual, because I think acting is such a therapeutic career to get into. I think the role that I will point out that gave me a lot of growth, I will say, and that changed my personality, was actually working on my solo show that's based upon my life of coming out as a young gay man in the deep South, working through my faith, still holding on to my faith as a queer individual. In writing a show about it, it actually helped me work through some of the trauma that I experienced and that I felt like I experienced. And it also helped me process so much of that time and put it down into words in such a way that I was able to move on from it. And for that, I'm so thankful for. And for that, I think I'm a better person as well. And that, that change in personality.
That is a really unique answer, Ty. So, what according to you makes a good co star?
I think a good co-star is a fellow actor that listens. The biggest thing to make a wonderful scene with somebody is really listening to what they're having to say, even though you know what they're going to say, right? Like, you've seen the script, you memorize your lines, they memorize their lines, they're doing their analysis, you did your analysis. But if you can give in to just listening to them as if you've never heard those words before, it makes for a very dynamic, very fun scene where you don't know where it's going. And that's the joy. Like, you don't want to know where you're actually heading, even though you do.
That is actually another part of acting, I would say. So, anyways, what is your dream role, Ty?
A dream role for me is Angels in America, I would love to be in that. A Normal Heart. Those are two big plays of mine. There's multiple characters in those that I would love to play at different points. For me, I think it really just boils down to I would love to play strong, queer, representing characters because for me, growing up, I didn't see a lot of that. And so now that I have this passion to play those characters as a queer man and bring to life all the new queer characters that are coming up in film and TV and plays. Like we have the classics, and now there's this whole swath of new queer work that's coming out. And like, I want to be a part of that. Like, that's what I want to get into, telling those stories.
That's a very interesting take. Anyways, how different is playwriting from acting?
We kind of like briefly talked about this a little bit before, right? And I think the main difference between film acting and stage acting is that in stage, you have to memorize it to such a point where you can do it over and over and over again for however long that performance is, right? Let's say it's an hour and a half long play. You have to come fully memorized and you have to do that text every single time. For the screen, it's different because everything is broken up and moved around. Like you might shoot the very end on the first day, and then you might jump to the middle, and then you may not shoot the beginning of the film until the end of the process, right? And you get multiple takes too, to get it right based upon how the writer sees it, how the director sees it. So there's a bit more, how do I want to say this? Each aspect have different levels of play with it that I think you get. And I think stage allows you to have fun being messy, because if you mess up or it goes a different direction, you can't like redo the scene. You have to keep going. And that's kind of the joy of stage. While in film, if you mess up, you get to start over so you get like that shot that they're looking for. It's very crafted.
Definitely. One can't really improvise and, on the stage have to go with the flow.
Yeah, I think there is a level of improvising on stage that doesn't exist in film, but there are certain like screen work that is a lot of improvising, right? Like comedies, there's some screenwriting where they give you the prompt and then they say, okay, have fun, just say whatever you want to say. So there is improvising in both, but I think in stage, you really have to know your lines backwards and forwards and where it's going, because if someone drops the ball or some new emotions thrown at you, you have to adjust. You don't have time to like go to the director and say, how should I play this? You just have to do it, you know?
That's so adventurous. So, does it feel different to be performing on stage and be performing on screen?
It does feel different performing on the stage and the big screen. I personally love the stage um, because of the live audience aspect, which we don't have anymore due to COVID. And then screen, I'm actually kind of new in the screen world, and I do appreciate the closeness of things. It's very intimate. So there's this level of the stage gives you this audience interaction, and then the screen gives you this level of intimacy with the camera and your other castmates.
Honestly, I would prefer the big screen so that we get a better look at your beautiful face.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll let you know when this film comes out or other work I'm doing.
Ty, are there any differential factors in being queer in the entertainment industry?
That's a very good question. Are there any differential factors being queer in the entertainment industry? I think that being queer in the entertainment industry is becoming more accepted in terms of letting queer people play queer roles, and also understanding that a gay man can also play straight. That I think I still see this problem in the industry where I get told my voice is too high, I don't sound right. It's putting a stereotype on the industry of what a gay person is. And at the same time, though, these roles that are meant for queer people are given to people who aren't queer. And that's a problem.
But I think with the upcoming generation, this problem would actually decrease and people would get to know more about gay people. Ty, two of your plays, A Southern Fairytale and Red Wave, are led by queer roles. How do you advocate for equality by the means of sexuality through such acts and plays?
I advocate for that equality through my work about using lead characters or most of the characters being queer in some fashion, because I think it helps to normalize part of what is hidden about the queer community. So much of my culture, and when I say my culture, I mean my queer culture and my queer history and queer narrative, isn't really known by the general public. They know what the news feeds them, or they know what their parents have fed them. In the Deep South, it's very conservative views of what queerness means. And by using sexuality and not holding back in how queer people talk to each other, I'm able to a way to show what our culture is and show that it's not here to put you down as a straight person or to take anything away from you. It's just another layer and aspect of the world as whole that we need to respect, and bringing it from the shadows into the light. And I think honestly, following in the footsteps of other great queer playwrights before me, by following their example of being bold with words and language and characters, helps to assimilate us into the culture as a whole, while also maintaining a record of what our culture is, so we don't lose that identity that we have.
Yes, Ty, that is absolutely necessary, and it's so great that it's coming up through your plays, and people would know what all the queer culture is all about. So, Ty, how is it like being a part of the show like Bound by Shadows?
Oh my gosh, Bound by Shadows was such a fun role. It was one of my very first film projects I ever booked. I think, oh, it was like 4 years ago now. So I was a baby actor, right? I was just starting out. And the entire creative team was so gung-ho about making this project. And I think watching their passion inspired me to be more passionate about my work. And also some of the friends I've made on that show, I still keep in touch with today and still follow their work.
Imagine that, seeing the happiness on your face by just the mere mention of it. And Ty, what are you currently working on? And could you give us some insight on your upcoming plays?
Yeah, so I am currently working on two of my plays, To All the Good Boys, which is a love letter to my old self and to other people like me around the topic of sex. And that is being workshopped right now by a local theater here in Atlanta. I'm hoping to get a production maybe up in 2021. And then my goals with that is to take it to Broadway, off Broadway, fingers crossed if I can get it that far. I really believe in that play. It's something that I've been working on already for 2 years, writing it, finessing it, trying to find the right language, pushing those boundaries I talked about, of really just being authentic to how people would talk, you know? And then another play that I'm working on is Red Wave, which is a political family drama. And it's my way of digesting and understanding the hurt that I felt during the 2016 election and the 2020 election, because there's a lot of pain that I felt with people voting a certain way that I felt like was a direct attack against who I am as an individual. And so this play, Red Wave, is opening up that box and allowing me to work through that pain and then try to turn it into a lesson for other people of being like, we can do better. And this is why it hurt. You can vote the way you're going to vote, but you have to understand that there are consequences and there is real hurt associated with other people. Um, and so we'll see what happens. That I can't announce anything yet, but it might be going to a theater. We'll see. Fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
fingers actually crossed, and I'm really excited to know what's going to come around. And we have a quick rapid fire round for you, Ty. So, what is your favorite role model?
The women in my life, I have to say.
And is there any chance that you would disclose us the name?
Oh, yeah. So, like, I have tons of women friends in my life. I think when I think about my mom is a really big role model for me in a lot of stuff. She's very adventurous. She loves life. She's had to work through a lot of her own personal trauma to get where she is as a single mom of 5 kids. And she's someone I look up to that inspires me to constantly be improving myself. And then I have too many girlfriends to name. And I also have like tons of guy friends, but like the women in my life in particular and their level of empowering themselves to be better has really inspired me to keep pushing myself to be better.
That's lovely. And who is your favorite male and female actor?
Okay, so my favorite actors are Matt Damon, Glenn Close, and Natalie Portman. I think there's like my three that no matter what they do, I will try to see them perform in some way. They're just great. I love watching them on the screen and also on stage. Saw Glenn Close in Sunset Boulevard on Broadway when she did the revival 3 years ago. God, oh my gosh, brilliant, just brilliant.
Have you ever taken anything from the set?
Yes, I have. Some stuff I paid for. So there's a really fun thing of whether you're doing films or plays that the costumer might be selling some of your outfit and you can buy it off of them. And I've done that before, but I did this one time accidentally. I didn't mean to, but these pair of like fake sunglasses, like really old circly sunglasses, not sunglasses, regular glasses were in my bag from doing a show. And yeah, I found them later and I just never returned them. So.
Wow, that is quite a story. But if you weren't an actor, what do you think you would be fit for?
I think if I wasn't in this current field, I would be a really good tech manager, tech product developer, something along those lines. I mean, I did get an engineering degree, right? So I have that. But there is a part of my personality that is so involved with the human connection and working with other people and that level of communication that I would love to be in like a managerial role, work my way up the ladder, maybe become an executive for a tech firm if I wasn't a performer, if I wasn't, but I am. So
But you are, luckily for us, you are. That is a very unique perspective, and I'm actually grateful to COVID that I got the opportunity to talk with you. It's been such a pleasant and unique session with you.
my wonderful glow on my face. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Got me off guard. I think the glow comes, I could go from like a physical. I use a great face wash that I use every morning. It keeps my face nice and healthy, right? Drink lots of water. But I think from like a philosophical standpoint, I always try to look at things half full. And something that someone said to me, which I really like, is that when the glass is half full, all you have to do is drink it and fill it back up again. And I think that's worked in my favor or helped me maintain a positive attitude during our current state of the world with COVID, because it's reminding me that no matter where I turn, there's always opportunity. It may not be the opportunity I originally wanted or had in mind, but I can't compare what I have now to work with to what I thought I was going to have, because comparison is the death of joy and it's also the death of creativity.
Thank you so much for joining us, Ty.
It's wonderful to be chatting with you as well. You have such a bright, bold personality yourself. I'm so inspired that you are doing this while in school, while helping to run this magazine. So mad props to you too. Mad props.
You are flattering me. Thank you so much for that. And it's been an amazing journey talking with you. And we'll not disturb you any further. And we'll end this conference right now. And I look forward to meeting and interacting with you again.
Please do. I look forward to it as well.
Yes. And guys, if you want to know more about Ty and his work, stay tuned with us at the Teen Pop magazine. Good day.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.